On Look East, we had a good look at some of these. The red telephone box. This is actually the K6 model. In fact, it's a K6 with a K2 top. It's also a money box. It's also empty.
Very disappointingly.
It
Since then, we've been contacted by a surprising number of you. The iconic red telephone box may have largely disappeared, but it clearly hasn't been forgotten. Mike Liggins reports.
Lynn Patterson runs the Fen House B&B in the Suffolk village of Pakenham. She also has something strange in the garden. Yes, a red telephone box. It cost £1,100 and it took some shifting, but Lynn loves it. Is it a talking point for guests now?
Yes, especially the ones from overseas. The guests love it, and they want their picture taken in front of it. So, especially the Americans find it fascinating.
People do like taking photographs of red phone boxes. We heard from Phil Stout, who's in the Parachute Regiment. He writes, "I've just returned from Belize in Central America, teaching in a jungle warfare course. And on the British base there, they have 2 red phone boxes, a part of Britain so far away." Of course, people don't just want to take photographs of them. They really do want to save red phone boxes as well. Robin Nelson Thompson from Wattisfield in Norfolk still uses one of the boxes in his village. He also asked for suggestions as to what to do with them. The answer is simple. Keep them as they are, as telephone boxes, with telephones inside, he writes in capitals. Red phone boxes were a huge part of people's lives. Anne and Ron Block were married in the Northamptonshire village of Draughton in 1952. A month later, Ron went into the army. Each week, a tearful Anne would wait in the phone box for Ron's call.
I always got so emotional that I really couldn't say very much. I just used to sob at this end, and he'd be sort of saying, don't worry, and it was just making him feel worse at the other end, really.
Hey, that looks fantastic. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks very much indeed for all your calls and emails about red phone boxes. We really do love to hear from you. You don't have to cook me breakfast, but it's never a bad idea. Mike Liggins, BBC Look East, Pakenham. This looks fantastic.
He looked very cheerful.
He did, didn't he?
50 years ago this month, the BBC began broadcasting its first regional television news service to the east of England, the forerunner of Look East.
All this week, we're dusting off the old film and some of the characters to celebrate a time when things were very different. Tonight, John Cranston with a man who spent most of his adult life on the other side of the camera.
It's 50 years since a rather nice Georgian house in Norwich became the first television studios on air in the East. And for 40 of those years, Paul Court-Wright has worked on the programmes we've made, though you normally only catch a glimpse of him when things go wrong.
I've got a bit of a problem here with the sound. Sorry. Because the cow is eating or is trying to eat the thing that's in my ear.
And he's witnessed some moments that might not have got past today's health and safety rules.
We've had lions, chimpanzees, bears. We had somebody firing a crossbow in the studio towards a target. Now, we didn't know the target wasn't going to be thick enough, and the crossbow went through the bolt, went through the target, hit a scaffold pole and started to ricochet around the studio.
Our studios have also seen their fair share of broadcasting firsts.
The Farming Club started in Norwich. That was a very, very successful programme. And it's, of course, now Countryfile.
Mr. Gurney, do you keep British Whites just for a hobby?
Most certainly not. I reckon they're the best dual-purpose herd breed there is in the country.
Newsnight, would you believe, was launched in Norwich. I directed the first 13 programmes. We did Look East, ripped out all the studio, put in another set and did Newsnight.
Good evening and welcome, at last, to Newsnight.
Though even then, 1980, most of Look East's film reports were just that, made on film.
I can remember running films through the telecine machine that was still wet from processing. That was the only way you could get it on the air. Of course, all our equipment 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago was second-hand. And, of course, we still have our little hiccups.
A bus strike planned for Thursday could be on again after an agreement between First Eastern Counties and the union.
Well, as you probably... It's a way we never see Mike, isn't it?
Quiet.
I think the public like the little hiccups. They show we're a bit human.
It's got the most expensive we found. 150 to 160.
Oh, shit.
Our finest moments.
They are, aren't they?
Tomorrow, the changes in technology which have transformed television, both behind the camera and on screen.
Let's have a look at the weather.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Well, first of all, I'd like you to meet Margaret Butcher. That's very exciting because she's just discovered a new variety of apple in Norwich. It's called Lakenham Glory. She actually got to choose the name, and apparently it's a dessert apple that tastes rather like a Cox. And quite rightly, Margaret is incredibly proud.
There's not many new things that come along that you can celebrate, and an apple is really a marvellous piece of nature's machinery, if you like. I thought it was an old Norfolk variety, and it turns out to be a new one. So what? It's Norfolk. It belongs to Norfolk.
Well done, Margaret. And that has actually been verified by the National Fruit Collection in Kent. Now I'm going to start the forecast, as I usually do, with a satellite image. You can see quite a lot of cloud out there. It is thinning and breaking in places, but tonight we do start off largely cloudy, but we're likely to see some drier air feeding in off the continent, so some clear skies feeding into some parts during the night, although the further sort of north and northwest you are, the more likely you are to stay buried beneath some thicker cloud. Now, the lowest temperatures underneath those clearer skies, down to around 4 Celsius, and tonight hardly any wind at all. Those winds very light and variable. Now tomorrow, high pressure still in charge, but the closer you are to the tail end of this very weak front, the more likely you are to hold on to largely cloudy skies tomorrow. So again, the north and west will probably stay quite cloudy, but elsewhere you should get to see some spells of sunshine before cloud thickens up more generally right across the region towards the end of the afternoon. Now, temperatures tomorrow around 14 or 15 degrees Celsius, 15 is 59 degrees Fahrenheit, and the winds generally light and northerly, although perhaps a touch more northeasterly around the Norfolk and Suffolk coast, and here those winds may just have a touch more strength to them. Friday, quite a lot of cloud first thing, perhaps a little bit of light rain and drizzle, and perhaps a few afternoon showers in the northeast, but becoming drier and brighter for most of us, but quite a blustery day with that moderate to fresh northerly wind. Saturday and Sunday, the winds ease down, it should be fine and dry, and Monday dry, but rather cloudy, and overnight lows between 3 and 9 degrees Celsius. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much indeed. That's it for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a good evening. Goodbye.
Bye.